Chapter 31. Annie. See it! God, I can't believe I'm about to do this. After years of hints, drunken questions, and downright blackmail, if you get married before I turn 60, I'll get Dad to pay for a bar. Please, Annie, I just want to look nice in the pictures. Lamb willingly bringing a man home for them to meet. And not only that, I'm doing it with absolutely no warning. Not only have I not told my parents that I'm bringing Nate round, I haven't even told them that he exists. I did debate calling them once me and Nate started walking home, but I knew that no matter how much notice I gave them, it wouldn't be enough to stop Mum from exploding with adrenaline. So I thought the best bet was not to say anything, and let them find out when Nate appeared on their doorstep. At least then Mum might behave herself a bit more, I hope. I'd planned on being annoyed at Nate for the rest of my days. I was ready to write off our amazing date as a weird one-off, never-to-happen-again experience. Like a spontan, 'cause night out with your friends, that was amazing, but you know you could never recreate it, so everyone just promises to never try. But then he was right there, standing in front of me. I was angry at first, but it just faded away. And after 60 seconds of us talking, I was back in Inferno's, laughing opposite him as we danced like we were the only two people in the club. It felt impossible to stay angry with him, unnatural even, like something inside me was going, no, this isn't the right feeling to have with him. It's not anger, it's something else. It's something better. Also, I was hardly going to leave him to freeze to death. I glance up at him and feel a pang in my heart. He looked different when I saw him on the platform. I don't know if it's because he was freezing and lost or if it was something else, but he just looked different. Slightly smaller, slightly less bright. I couldn't leave him, I just couldn't. Although I have a feeling I'll regret this generosity of spirit in approximately 90 seconds. Okay, I say, turning to Nate as I pull out my keys. There are some things I should warn you about my parents. He looks at me questioningly. Right? They can be a bit intense. Intense? They're great, I add quickly, worried that I'm painting them out to be nudists or roleplay addicts. They're just a bit intense. I glance at the upstairs window and to my alarm spot Mum gawping down at us both. You've already said that at them. I know, but I can't think of any other way to describe. He smiles and squeezes my arm. I'm sure they're great. I open my mouth to say something else when the door bangs open to reveal my mum and dad. They're both wide-eyed and flushed, and Mum is out of breath from sprinting down the stairs to check that she isn't hallucinating. Them a message telepathically. *I tightly, eyeballing them both to try and send don't act weird. He's just a man. You've seen men before. Stay cool. This is Nate, I say. Nate, these are my parents. I'm about to say their names, when to my alarm Mum throws her arms around Nate's neck and for an awful moment, I think she's about to burst into tears. Nate, she cries. Hello, we've heard so much about you. I stare at her, horrified. She didn't even know he existed until about 8 seconds ago. I turn to Dad, hoping he'll bring some sanity to the table, when to my horror I realize that his eyes are shining. We're so pleased to meet you, Nate, he says gravely, shaking his hand as if, after years of praying, Nate is finally here to make a bride of their desperate gremlin daughter. Right, I say quickly. Everyone inside, it's freezing. Mum and Dad? In the kitchen now. Oh, Annie, he is lovely. Mum, I cry, snapping my fingers at her as she slips back into her I-knee-to-by-a-hat trance. What did I just say? He's a friend who is stuck here because of the snow. I said I'd help him find somewhere to stay. He doesn't know the area. He's American. What football team does he support? Dad pipes up. I roll my eyes. Why is that important? Just be normal, please, I say. Don't terrify him by giving him the Spanish. Inquisition. Fun fact about the Spanish Inquisition. Not now, Dad. I run out of the kitchen and find Nate awkwardly perched on the living room sofa. The fire is roaring with brilliant yellow flames, sending a lovely woody smell through the house. Sorry about that, I say. They were just a bit excited. Not that they've ever heard of you before, I add quickly, wanting to shut down any idea that I've spent the last week doodling Nate on the back of my hand. Really? Nate says lightly. I told my mum about you, really? I blink at him, taken aback. She loves romance, he says. She wanted to hear how my dating life was going in London, so I told her. What did she say? He smiles, looking down at his hands. She wanted me to try and find you. And did you tell her? I sit down next to him. Tell her what? That we found each other, I say, feeling myself redden. Ah, a shadow passes over his face. No, not yet. I push my lips together. God, read the room, Annie. He didn't message you. He hasn't told his mum any more about you. He isn't into you. I just need to find him somewhere to stay for the night, do my Good Samaritan deed, and then forget all about him. Weird, lovely feelings or no weird, lovely feelings, that is what I have to do, right? I say, pulling my parents' laptop out from under the sofa and tapping in their password. So, here you go. If you Google B&BS in the Cotswolds, there are loads around here. You can use our landline to call any. I hand him the phone. Let me know which one you decide to book and T11 walk you over to it. There are quite a few that aren't that far away. He nods. Right, of course. Thank you, Annie. I slap my thighs and get to my feet. No problem, I say, walking out of the sitting room and forcing myself not to look back at him. Right, I say loudly as I walk into the kitchen, forcing Mum and Dad to stop their incessant whispering in the corner. What's the plan for this weekend? They blink at me, totally still for a second, when Dad launches into action. Ah, of course. Well, we thought we may do a nice walk tomorrow and then, Annie, Mum hisses in her I single quotes M dash being dash really dash quiet dash but dash I single quotes M dash actually dash being dash we dash loud whisper. What's going on? Is he your boyfriend? No. Snap, exasperated. Mum, we've just been over this. We're just friends, but why? She cries. He seems so nice. You've spent 30 seconds with him. Mother's intuition. Mother always knows. Mum taps the side of her nose and I roll my eyes. I think that's about whether your baby needs feeding or birthing, not whether your daughter should go out with a guy you like the look of, I say flatly. Excuse me. My head whips round to see Nate standing in the doorway. My face immediately burns. Oh God, how long has he been standing there for? He's holding the phone and looking at us apologetically. I'm so sorry, he says. How do you work this? I think I've found somewhere. Found somewhere, Mum repeats. What do you mean you're not leaving, are you? And then everything goes into slow motion. I can feel it about to happen right in front of my eyes. But I just can single quotes did quite you must stay for dinner. Stop it. Sorry, I gabbled to Nate about 40 minutes later, the first moment I've got just the two of us after Mum and Dad barreled him into the kitchen and refused to let him go. Where did you grow up? What do you do for a job? How are you finding London? What shoe size are you? Okay, so they didn't ask the last one, but I wouldn't put it past them at this rate. Sorry, he turns to me. What for? We're both sat up on the stools in the kitchen, looking over to where Mum has been chopping, simmering and adding the final touches to dinner. Dad has poured us both large glasses of red wine and the fairy lights that Mum hangs every autumn are twinkling around us. I didn't mean to ambush you into spending the evening with my family, I say. And me, I want to add, but I don't. If you want to go back to a hotel, then that's totally fine. Phil make an excuse for you. Say you have to get back to work or something. He smiles at me, and sitting this close to him in the light, I notice for the first time that he has a dimple in his right cheek that creases when he smiles. I can smell his earthy, manly scent, and for a moment I feel myself leaning closer towards him. But I catch myself. He's not interested, remember? Not at all, he says. Team having a great time. Is this really where you grew up? Look around at the kitchen. Pots and pans hang from the ceiling, and behind us is our oak table, stained with years of dinners and parties, little hands clutching onto the wood and drinks spilling over after too much generous clinking. Artwork covers the walls, but also framed photos of the three of us. Windswept at the beach, huddled around a Christmas tree, standing at the top of a cliff in Cornwall. Yeah, I say proudly, it is, eyes amazing. I sigh. I know. I'm really lucky. It's just like the houses in the films, he says, leaning back on his stool and looking around. My mum would love it here. Has she been to England before? He shakes his head, his dark eyes still scanning the room, taking in every nook and cranny. Every wooden chicken, every framed photograph, every speckled plate. I'm about to ask him more about his mum when, right on cue, my own mum bustles in. For God's sake, has she put lipstick on? Right, she says jovially as she marshes over to the Aga. I think we're almost there. Where's your father? I start to tell her I don't know when she cranes her neck and bellows his name over her shoulder. Nate catches my eye and grins. Sorry, I mumble again. I hope your family is as mad as mine. I think they're fantastic. Here we are. Dad bumbles into the kitchen. Although he hasn't put lipstick on, I can tell that he's brushed his hair. Probably the result of a panicked mum, who I think would be secretly hoovering upstairs right now if she didn't have a lasagna in the oven. I think it's ready. She smiles at me, her eyes flitting to Nate. She looks as if she's about to burst with happiness. God, if she's like this now, how the hell is she going to behave when I bring an actual boyfriend home? Till set the table, Dad says, rubbing his hands together and pulling open our cutlery drawer. What can I do? Can I help? Nate says, swiveling round on the stool. I pick up my wine and shake my head. There is absolutely no way they will let Nate even raise a finger while he's here. Nothing, Dad said. You are our guest. Trays my eyebrows at Nate. Just relax, I say. They're not going to let you do anything. I can't just sit here and not help, Nate protests. You're already letting me crash your dinner. Why don't you tell us about your experience in London so far? Dad says. Well, Nate says. To be honest, it didn't really start until I met Annie. I nearly spit out my wine. I don't dare look at Mum. She's one shared glance away from bursting into a spritz of confetti. Oh, Dad says, much cooler than Mum as he lays out the granite placemats, setting our brass cutlery down on the long rectangular table. Well, Nate says, turning back to me and smiling. She made quite the first impression. Of course she did. Mum gushes, and it takes everything in me not to lean forward and thwack her. Why's that then? Dad says innocently, and he sneaks in a wink towards me, which makes me burn with embarrassment. Mum pulls the lasagna out of the oven, her hands covered in the red gingham tea towel as a cloud of steam billows around her. Well, Nate says, taking a sip of his wine. For starters, she was dressed as a bat. Mum puts the lasagna on the table with a thud. A bat, she turns to me. Annie, were you in one of your costumes? I nod. It was Halloween. Oh, Mum holds a tea towel to her chest. In the bat costume? Gosh, that was a fantastic outfit, wasn't it, David? One of your best dad twinkles. Have you seen any more of them? Mum gabbles. Of Annie's costumes. They're so brilliant. No, I say, grabbing Mum by the arm as she starts to scurry past me. Mum, Nate doesn't need to see every costume I've ever made. He'd love to. I'm about to give Nate a warning look when I realize that he's smiling at Mum, and he looks like he's genuinely enjoying himself. He's not mocking me or cringing at how over the top my parents are. He wants to see. Really? I protest. Mum, it's fine. How about we eat first? Dad says, popping the cork of another bottle of red wine. Yes, Mum says, taking a deep breath as she walks back towards our dining table, but not before running her hand along Dad's arm and giving the tips of his fingers a squeeze. They both sit down, and Nate and I follow. Mum smiles at us both, her face glowing. Let's eat,